Good morning. It's Friday. How's everybody this morning? Let me see who we got in here and say hi to people. Hi, Amanda. Mel. Jean. Jean. I love it. Hey, Mrs. M. Good morning. Good morning, Amanda. Hey, Gail. Hey, Search and Rescue. Canine Mom. Jennifer Bradford. Mia. Hello. Good morning. How is everybody? I hope we're all doing well. Hey, Chick Tracy, I hope we're all recovered from the quick verdict yesterday. Wow, that was crazy. 2 hours and 50 minutes of um, deliver of deliberations, and Mrs. M. We did, huh? Okay. I have not checked up on Billy as of yet. It's been a minute since I've looked into when his trial is going to start. Do we have any idea of when that should be? Because hey, Chris, good to see you. Hey, Faraway Eyes, good to see you too. Before we get into all that, let's have a word from our sponsor.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
So if you all could do me a big favor and give me a smash on that like button, leave your touch DNA. It's a great alibi should you need one. All the things. I'd appreciate it. You know, Chris, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking, look, this trial, as you guys are well aware, has been stuck in my crawl, for lack of a better word, really. And I've really been trying to piece it all together. And I think we have the rough idea with the timeline and the forensics and the forensic data and all that from the cell phones and everything. I think we have a rough idea of the timeline of when all this happened, but this was my problem with the trial. I don't think that I think there was enough, right, to find him guilty. There was, for a brief moment, I had some reasonable doubt, but I will say this. Hi, and 5, 6, 7, 8. I will say that after rebuttal closing, Meads, I think is how you say his last name. It's still kind of early for me. I mean, I know it's 9:22, but I was up late last night. I went over to Brittany J. She had a great live last night, and we talked about all the things. And then we talked about at the very end the Idaho 4 case, because the search warrant from Koberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania has been unsealed. And so we went over that stuff last night, and we talked Murdaugh first. It was I had a blast. I always have a blast over there. But anyway, hey, speak of the devil or the angel, whichever. Hey, babe, how are you? Thank you so much, Brittany. I had so much fun with you. You know I did. I always do. She had a great panel last night, and we were talking about, Murdaugh and, all of the things. And it was, anyway, his closing arguments, his rebuttal really sealed it up for me, because what he did was, it was great to see the emotions, because this is an emotional case, right? But more than that, what he really did, in my opinion, was answer some questions that I had, some lingering questions. And he really spoke to those and, reminded people, hey, look, it isn't just that he lied. That has been well established, that he is a liar. It is about what he lied about and for how long. And one of the things that got to me that I had, because when you're covering the trial and watching the trial and stuff, there's so much information that you get in an 8 hour. I mean, the trial's an all day deal. It's 8 hours of information, and it's I'm not as I used to be. So some of the stuff has decided to go, like my compartments are all full up because for whatever reason, my brain does not allow any of the movie lines or music lyrics to be overwritten, which I'm glad. Hey, Spicy Sugar. So, Amelia, hi, babe. So anyway, to that end, some of the stuff is like slips. Hey, Avery, slips through, the compartments. But I had some lingering questions and some things that I had forgotten about, and I had forgotten some of John Marvin's testimony, which I thought was quite compelling in the aspect that, Sled came to the family and talked to them about this video, this kennel video. And I found that to be interesting given the fact that Buster and John Marvin testified on his behalf. And I was watching Buster last night. Of course, it was the way that I watched, I was on Truth Tellers. She streamed The Verdict, another excellent stream for you guys to please go and check out. But hey, Sherry. Anyway, the way that Law and Crime had it, the split screen, they had, of course, Alec, and then they had Buster's reaction. And I know that people have mixed emotions when it comes to Buster and what he knew, what he didn't know, what he may have helped with after the fact, as far as, selling stuff for his dad so that, before his assets could be frozen. And I get that. And everybody, obviously I respect all of that. And I agree. But I also understand that, and that I feel for Buster. He has lost his entire family. And granted, Alec is, still alive. That's obvious. But he is going to prison, and probably for the rest of his life. Because even if the judge, for some whatever reason, decides to give him leniency in any capacity on this case, he is still has the financial crimes that he is on the hook for, as well as the conspiracy. And there's some other charges in there. Like one of them, I believe, is distributing or manufacturing. I'll have to look it up. Don't quote me on that. But whatever it is the conspiracy situation with the roadside shooting with one Curtis Eddie Smith, aka Cud and Eddie. So hey, Laura, good to see you. Corky, hey. Aw, Brittany. Cried for him. I feel bad for him. I do. I can't help it. I don't know. I've gotten soft in my old age. I used to be a lot like less. I agree, Chris. If Buster had been there that night, I don't think Alec would have left him alive, to be quite honest with you. I will agree. Yes, Buster Burt. That's what we're going to call him, Brittany. Buster Burt. So yeah, I mean, that's, pretty much how I'm feeling. I think that, Alec really hurt his own case. I think the biggest bombshell really of his testimony, look, he had to come clean about the kennel video, right? So that wasn't like bombshell. I think the explanation was ridiculous. I mean, the fact of the matter is, he had a working relationship with law enforcement. That's just facts. Okay. He had blue lights installed in his vehicle, and TC Smalls, who was he's retired now, but he was the sheriff of Hampton County at the time. And Alec had testified that TC Smalls gave him permission to put blue lights in his vehicle, which then TC Smalls is like, no, I did not. And I didn't give anybody permission, nor would I. That was problematic for him. But I do think that with respect to the kennel video, he was going to have to get up there and explain things. And I quite honestly don't buy I understand being aware of statistically where the investigation would go. They always start from the inside and work their way out. So whether Alec had found the bodies or not, they were going to start there with him, because that's how it goes. That's just waste. Hey, Kay Brace. That's just the way investigations like this, they work from the inside out. And so I'm not moved by his explanation, but what I did think was bombshell was on cross-examination when he was asked about the dogs because they were out. See, I was a little fuzzy on the dog situation as far as which dogs were actually out. I thought that it was only Bubba, that's a chicken. Bless Bubba's heart. And let's not forget the chicken. Thank you. Although the chicken is alive, evidently, or was alive. I don't know the lifespan of chickens, but back in 2021, the chicken was stunned but remained unharmed, according to Alec. So, anyway, thank you for your sacrifice, chicken. Um, I thought it was just Bubba that was out. I didn't realize that Grady was out and that Maggie the dog was out. And so when he was asked on cross examination if the dogs barked as if they were alerting to somebody being around, and he said no, I thought that was key because, quite frankly, I didn't either, Sherry. I mean, I think he prepared himself, like he came in looking dejected. Um, but anyway, so yeah, I feel like that was very, very important testimony, and I just don't think that. I think what really got to the jurors, and I would be very interested, and I hope that they, at least one or two of them, decide to give um, an interview. Is that I'm behind on the stream on Long Crime. Let me bring it current. See where they're at. 'Cause they're on a break. They're still on a break. Okay. I didn't get to see the perp walk, but anywho, so we might later today. We might. Alec has to prepare himself, and I don't think he was quite prepared. He looked dejected, but yeah. And then as far as the premeditation goes, well, there's two. Oh, Mel. Okay, babe. There's two definitions of premeditation. So one is the legal definition, and that's what's used in court, right? And so that is the legal definition of premeditation. There is no time on it. It can be 1 second. So the minute, for example, in this case, right, the minute that Alec picked up a gun, a firearm, that is premeditation by the legal standard. But I do think that you guys are right that using two different ones does suggest more than the legal definition of premeditation. That he in that he had decided to do what he was going to do, but more than that, he wanted to stage the crime scene to make it appear as if there was more than one shooter. And that is, key, frankly. Hey, KW10, good to see you, babe. Let's see. I decided it's because maybe Paul was going to get an inheritance from Grandpa and Alec wanted it all for himself. Well, yeah, I mean, the truth of the matter is, we have, um, oh, they're in. Hold on. Oh no, they're not. That's a lie. Sorry. My bad. Oh no, I no worries about the typos. I think that when a lot and for me too, people are trying to understand this financial motive, right? Because typically we think of a financial motive as literal financial motive, like we literally. Okay, babe. Thank you, Mel. So we typically think of it as like an actual tangible financial gain, right? And there was no life insurance on Maggie or Paul, but there was inheritance. And I keep coming back to this situation, this discussion that Alec had with Jeannie Seconder the afternoon of or morning of June 7th, right before the crimes took place, and that she had gotten that they were having this meeting, this donkey barbecue, as I call it, basically a little bit of a come to Jesus. And um, he mentions, according to Jeannie, that his father is in the hospital and that he's terminal, which I, you know, I think that Randolph tried to, Randolph, John Marvin tried to mitigate that a little bit with his testimony, which was, well, he it wasn't terminal, he had options and yada yada yada, and that might be true, right? But the fact of the matter is that Randolph was sick and had cancer and had medical issues. And the fact that he was admitted to the hospital from a doctor's appointment is very telling. And Alec was likely thinking, you know, there's because the trust had been set up long ago, right? So with Randolph Murdaugh. So, it isn't the same as when Maggie died and there was, settling of her estate and probate and all that stuff. It's not like that with his dad's inheritance that was set up and long ago. And oh, thank you. Allegedly with Brittany J. Yes, please give your girl a thumbs up. Um, so that would have been, that could have been a motivating a factor with his why he did what he did. Because yes, I believe that. Now I don't know how the trust was actually set up with respect to Maggie, okay? But Paul and Buster were going to and Alec would have inherited whatever it was that they were going to inherit. And I think that the likely explanation and reason, the likely way things would go would be if Alec, or geez, Jen, get your shit together. If Buster or Paul were no longer living, that their portion of the inheritance would go to Alec. So that is a tangible financial gain. And so, hi, Delana. Well, hold on, let me see. Let me obsessed mind. Now that I can't speak to, but what I will say, this is what I know about the inheritance as it stands currently. So what happened was it was put into a trust, Alex's portion of it, and that is what is being used currently to pay for Alex's defense. So Alec had to petition the trust, and they determined that it was fine to use his trust and in his inheritance to pay for his defense for his general health and well-being, something to that effect. So that's how it's being paid for. I think that I know that it's difficult for people to understand, but it's because I think it would be difficult even if it was just even if you were just somebody who didn't have a ton of money. But I think because there's really no justification, no motive would be understandable, right? Or justifiable, I should say. But this motive is particularly abstract. But it's not it's not about what you and I would do. It's about Alec Murdaugh's mindset. And the fact of the matter is that he, as a personal injury attorney, would be keenly aware of the value of a case with respect to a sympathetic defendant. And if Alec, if Paul and Maggie, if it appears to the public, which is the jury, if it had gone to a jury trial, because there's no indications that that Alec, they offered a settlement. Tinsley said no. So, hold on, let me see what's going on over here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. No, they're still talking. Okay, so anyway, there was no indication that Tinsley was willing to settle. He thought that Alec had money and he was coming for it. And so Alec understood the value of a case in that respect. If you have a sympathetic defendant, it's going to be difficult for a jury to hand over a ton of money, particularly when the person who caused the accident that you know, for which you are representing her family, is no longer living, and was not only no longer living, but potentially the victim of vigilante justice. That takes the monetary value of the case significantly down. And I think that, I know it's a very, very difficult concept, but if you think about it in those terms, I think it's difficult to to follow, and I know that it's sort of convoluted, but Alec, this is a man who, even if you take it at face value, even if you take the roadside shooting and you take Alec's word for what was supposed to happen, right? He asked his drug dealer, of all people, right, to unalive him. Okay, so that it could look like a unaliving versus a self-harm, so that his son Buster could be the recipient of his $12 million life insurance policies. There were two, one for 4 and one for 8 million. Okay, so that is crazy. Let's see what's happening. They better be. Let me see if they're in now. I think they are. Looks like the court is. Yeah, they are. All right. Here we go.
Missing sheets signed like is up to the.
Oh, yes, KW10. I covered that trial, babe. Yes, I'm
Your Honor,
here.
very quickly, the defense victim impact people who want to speak at this time, but I will address the court briefly. And I don't need Your Honor to repeat the evidence that Your Honor just heard for the past 6 weeks, but it is overwhelming.
So many, Mo.
And it shows this man to be a cunning manipulator, a man who placed himself above all others, including his family. A man who violated the trust of so many, including his friends, his family, his partners, his profession, but most of all, Maggie and Paul. This is a very complicated situation, and I want to offer my condolences to the family that has suffered here. We have tried very hard to be respectful and sensitive regardless of what position any person took, because this family has suffered and they've had to suffer in the public eye. And I want to offer my condolences to this family. I want to offer it for Maggie and Paul and Mr. Randolph too, who I had the pleasure of working with on one occasion. But the reality remains is that despite all this attention, this case is about Maggie Murdaugh and Paul Murdaugh, and I'm so thankful that the jurors gave them a voice. You heard about Paul. Obviously, there was the boat case, but you also heard him described as a fun-loving young man, a person who loved life, a person who would do anything for his friends, for anyone. And he's cut down as he was just starting to live his life. You heard about Maggie, You heard how sweet she was. You heard that she was a girl's girl who adapted to the outdoorsman life of her sons, how much she loved her sister and her brother-in-law and their children. And she was cut down in the prime of her life. Both of them, like everyone else, was unaware of who he really was. No one who thought they knew this man, no one who thought they were close to this man knew who he really was. And Your Honor, that's chilling. And I've looked in his eyes, and he liked to stare me down as he would walk by me during this trial. And I could see the real Alex Murdaugh when he looked at me. The depravity, the callousness, the selfishness of these crimes are stunning. The lack of remorse and the effortless way in which he lies, including here, sitting right over there in this witness stand.
Boom,
Your Honor, a man like that, a man like this man, should never be allowed to be among free, law-abiding citizens again. And I would submit to you that the only just sentence here to give justice for Maggie and Paul is the maximum, and that would be 2 consecutive life sentences. Thank you, Your Honor.
They might have had a
You indicate that no victim would like to
speak.
speak at this time. Would any victim like to speak at any time during these proceedings?
Your Honor, one of the things we did early on, obviously, as I just said, it's a very complicated situation, but we made the decision early on. We've had our victim advocate here who's been doing a wonderful job, regardless of the viewpoints of any individual family member, to provide aid and service to them. And we made that decision. I'm informed by our victim advocate that none of them wish to speak. The defense can certainly address that, but that's what I am informed. But they certainly were offered the opportunity as is required. And I want to commend our victim advocate on the excellent job she did in handling this complex situation that we wanted to be sensitive to, because again, none of us are not mindful of the fact of the suffering of this family.
I know Sled Chief Mark Keel is here.
Yes, Brittany, like 11. He's
Would you
going
like
to be down
to
for 11.
address the court on any matters, Chief?
Yes, sir. Just to say again, very proud of our agents, the work they've done. I'm proud of the partnership that we've had with the Attorney General's office as we've had for many years. And again, we're here to see the justice
Chief,
served.
good to see you.
Thank you. For the defense.
Your Honor, Mr. Griffin and I would have no comment. The defendant would like to address the court, though.
Mr. Murdaugh.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never hurt my son, Paw.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sit down.
Anything further?
I don't think further comment is necessary, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Murdaugh, if you'll come to the court for sentencing.
It's the hurt for
This has been perhaps one of the most troubling cases, not just for me as a judge, for the state, for the defense team, but for all of the citizens in this community, all the citizens in this state. And as we've seen, based on the media coverage throughout the nation, you have a wife who's been killed, murdered,
Good morning,
a
Deputy.
son savagely murdered, a lawyer, a person from a respected family who has controlled justice in this community for over a century, a person whose grandfather's portrait hang at the back of the courthouse that I had to have ordered removed in order to ensure that a fair trial was had by both the state and the defense. And I've sat through the trial. Not only have I sat through the trial, but also as the presiding judge of the state grand jury, sat through and participated in the issuance of search warrants of various sorts, bond hearings, and have had to consider many things. And we have this case, and I'm also assigned to preside over 99 others?
Oh,
At
shit.
least
Who's doing
99 other
financial
cases.
crimes too?
Though testimony has come up regarding many of those other cases, I will not make any comment with regard to any other pending matter, as I have been assigned those cases as well. It's also particularly troubling, Mr. Murdaugh, because
No, it's the best, Mel.
as a member of the legal community and a well-known member of the legal community,
Maybe he found a mute.
you've practiced law before me, and we've seen each other at various occasions throughout the years. And it was especially heartbreaking for me to
Hey, CB Cal.
see
Yeah,
you,
that fun is out of control.
go in the media from being a grieving father who lost a wife and a son to being the person indicted and convicted of killing them. And you've engaged in such duplicitous conduct here in the courtroom, here on the witness stand,
Well, they
and as
each
established by
count in
the
case.
testimony
Brittany, he's got 99
throughout
counts.
the time leading from the time of the indictment and prior to the indictment throughout the trial to this moment in time. Certainly, you have no obligation to say anything other than saying not guilty. And obviously, as appeals are probably expected or absolutely expected, I would not expect a confession of any kind.
We'll talk about that after this, babe. Okay?
In fact, I presided over
Come back to it.
murder cases over the past 20 years. I have yet to find a defendant who could go there, who could go back to that moment in time when they decided to pull the trigger or to otherwise murder someone. I have not been able to get anyone, any defendant, even those who have confessed to being guilty, to go back and explain to me what happened at that moment in time when they opted to pull the trigger, when they opted to commit the most heinous crimes known to man. In this case, qualifies under our death penalty statute based on the statutory aggravating circumstances of two or more people being murdered by the defendant by one act or pursuant to one scheme or course of conduct. I don't question at all the decision of the state not to pursue the death penalty. But as I sit here in this courtroom and look around the many portraits of judges and other court officials,
you ain't never lied, girl.
and reflect on the fact that over the past century, your family, including you, have been prosecuting people here in this courtroom, and many have received the death penalty, probably for lesser conduct.
Hang on, you guys. I just have to pause really quickly for commentary because obviously under fair use. But you know how sometimes I be talking about a church read when you read somebody for filth, but you do it in a way that involves zero cussing and it's very clean. This is an example of a church read, and I am here for it.
Remind me of the expression you gave on the stand. Was it tangled?
Tangled web, we weave.
Oh, what tangled web we weave. What did you mean by that?
Meant when I lied, I continue to lie.
And the question is, when will it end? When will it end? And it's ended already for the jury because they've concluded that you continue to lie and lie throughout your testimony. And perhaps with all the throng of people here,
it's too,
for the most part, all
too
believe,
circumstantial. They were right.
80, 90%, 99% believe that you continue to lie now when your statement of denial to the court.
Let me just say this too really quick. Literally, the judge just called Alec a lying liar face who tells lies. Right to it. Good for you, Judge Newman.
It does not matter that there's nothing that can mitigate a sentence given the crimes that were committed.
Wow. Hey, true crime.
A notice of alibi filed in this case by counsel in November, and we conducted a hearing, pretrial hearing, in which you claimed to have been someplace else at the time the crime was committed. Then, after all of the witnesses placed you at the scene of the crime, at the last minute, or last minutes or days, you switch courses and admitted to being there. And then that necessitated more lies and continued to lie. And I said, where will it end? It's already ended for many who have heard you and concluded that it'll never end. But within your own soul, you have to deal with that. And I know you have to see Paul and Maggie during the night times when you're attempting to go to sleep. I'm sure they come and visit you. I'm sure.
All day and every night.
Yeah, I'm sure. And they will continue to do so. And reflect on the last time they looked you in the eyes, as you looked the jury in the eyes. I don't know.
Still indignant.
Person has been such a gregarious.
Hey, Mary.
We have a situation that yours have spun into. Because you had such a lovely family of such friendly people, including you. And to
Hey, Erica,
go
good
from there,
morning.
your license to practice law has been stripped away from you. You turned from lawyer to witness, and now
Sunset gazing. Hey,
have
babe.
an opportunity to make
Hope I
your
said hi
final
to her.
appeal as an ex-lawyer. And it's almost, it's really surprising that you're waiving this right at this time. And if you opt to do so, it's on you. You're not compelled to say anything. What you actually do.
I don't want to mess up my appeal, Your Honor.
Again, respect you, but I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been the monster you become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60.
There's a lot of people screaming at me.
Maybe you've never seen that before. The person standing before me was not the person who committed the crime, though it's individual. We'll leave that at that. Before announcing sentence on these cases, with regard to all of the other pending cases, are any of them here in Colleton, or I'm sure some of them are?
Yes, sir.
Half of them, or?
I don't have that in front of me, but there are a substantial number of charges here. There's some in Hampton, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Allendale. There may be others that I'm not thinking of right now.
We might have worn out our welcome here in Colleton.
Colleton's been great.
They have been, and I'll take this opportunity to thank Sheriff Hill and all of the court officials and really everyone I've met and dealt with while here in Colleton County. Just been great. But without any delay, we're going to schedule some of the other matters. I know Mr. Harpootlian's scheduling implicated, and you've sacrificed quite a bit to be able to be here defending Mr. Murdaugh, as well as the Attorney General's office, with all the other many things and obligations you have. And to be able to have the Attorney General here, Alan Wilson, for the period of time that he's devoted to being here, along with everyone else, it's been quite a sacrifice. But there are other victims whose cases deserve to be, and this case jumped some of those other cases, perhaps jumped it because of this case resulting in an assault on the integrity of the judicial system in our state, law enforcement. Even during this trial, the law enforcement have been maligned for the past 5 or 6 weeks by one who had access to the wheels of justice, to be able to deflect the investigation. And as the evidence has pointed out in this case, the looming storm that Mr. Waters talked about, I can just imagine on that day, June 7th, when a lawyer is confronted and confesses to having stolen over $500,000 from a client, and he has a tiger like Mark Tinsley on his tail pursuing discovery in the case involving the death of Mallory Beach, and having a father, for the most part, on his deathbed. I could imagine, I really can't imagine,
Hey, Christine G, that's me.
I know it had to have been quite a bit going through your mind on that day. But amazingly, to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day, that my wife and son and I were out just enjoying life. Not credible, not believable. You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that. So if you made any such arguments as a lawyer, you would lose every case like that. Cases you will never have an opportunity to argue anymore, except perhaps your own as you sit at the Department of Corrections. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you to the term of the rest of your natural life. For the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably love so much, I sentence you to prison. Murder the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime. A life sentence is imposed on other indictments. That is the sentence of the court, and you are remanded to the State Department of Corrections. And officers may carry forth on the imposition.
Mel, he got life, his natural born life without the possibility of parole, but for both Maggie and Paul each, right? And they're to run
Yes, sir.
consecutively.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So they're to run consecutively, which means that he's going to first serve the rest of his natural life behind bars for the murder of Maggie Murdaugh. And once that sentence is complete, which would only be complete by him no longer being alive, right? Then the next sentence starts, which is for Paul. So, yeah. Wow. Wow. I wonder what they're up there. And I gotta say, I'm a little shocked. Poot, you had nothing to say on behalf of your client today? Nothing. That shocks me. And now I will say this. So I want to, just while we're waiting. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see what they say, and then we'll talk.
Before we adjourn, an order was issued concerning maintaining the identity anonymous. The order was position, and for the most part, it's been complied with.
Here we go. This is what.
Except
Look
for
what
leaving the courtroom yesterday, or not jury, but the defendant leaving the courtroom while the jury still.
I knew they were going to bring this up.
Protecting the identity of the jurors is certainly extremely important during the course of a trial to ensure that no one makes contact with the jury or attempts to influence the jury. Jurors have a right to continue that privacy beyond their jury service, but they're not obligated to do so. And it would not surprise me if jurors choose to come forward and to speak, and they're encouraged to do so if that is their desire. I have no problem whatsoever with the jurors unmasking themselves and speaking freely with the media, because they have undergone a life-changing experience as it relates to many of them. And some of them are here now, and I want them to know that should anyone attempt to harass them or annoy them, please let me know and I will address the issue. Secondly, there's a complaint now regarding the posting of autopsy photographs or photos that came from within the courtroom. It's based on the direction of the photographs. It did not come from the audience. It came somehow from within the well of the court.
Oh, sheesh.
The parties requested an investigation of that. I have my hands full doing my job, and I don't attempt to conduct any investigations beyond the conduct of a trial, but to the law enforcement do that, that's the responsibility of law enforcement. Yes. And
Ms. Arnold, let me just finish. Let's hear what he
one
says.
of the reasons
we'll talk
we
about it. Okay, babe?
sought to seal graphic photos, the parties have a right to privacy and a right to those matters not being publicly disclosed. If anyone has heard about the recent settlement that Kobe Bryant's, another sports analogy, Kobe Bryant's wife made with Los Angeles County and others out there over certain disclosures of information involving the death of Kobe Bryant. Liability can be substantial, and it's a risk for the most part. That's not. So let everyone judge themselves in that with that regard. Aside from all that, our business is done here in Colleton County, and I get used one or a few times during this trial, and order that court be adjourned. Sine die.
All rise.
All right, so let me stop. I don't want to, I'm just going to remove it, and I'm just going to keep it in the background to see if there's any kind of press conference or anything like that. So let me get to these two starred comments that I want to talk about. So for those just coming in, what had happened was the judge read Alec for filth. He really did, but he gave him a good old church read, which I always enjoy. You know, irrespective of whether I feel that he's guilty or innocent or whatever the case may be, I do love a good church read which Judge Newman gave him. He sentenced Alec to the rest of his natural life behind bars for both Maggie and Paul's murders. But what he did was he issued them and ordered them to be served consecutively, which means he has to serve his first sentence of his natural life for the unaliving of Maggie Murdaugh, and then he can begin serving his sentence for Paul Murdaugh's unaliving, which basically the only way to end his sentence is to no longer be living. So it's a very, very strict, it's a very, very harsh sentence. Alec had an opportunity to address the court. And when he did, he stood up and he said he was innocent and that he would never intentionally hurt his wife, Maggie, or his son, Paul. That's what he said. Now, that's, he has the opportunity to speak, and he has the opportunity to address the court, and whatever he says, and that's that. Now, I will say this. I think, hi, Mo, Dean. I'm thinking that, yes, he will, Elizabeth Ross, he will definitely be moved to the self-harm area of the jail and be on watch. And, they're going to begin doing all the things to get him to where his final destination will be, which is, prison. So, nothing is going on in the courtroom, but the prosecution is hugging each other, etc. Now, let me show Delena's comment first. I have to say, I was so hoping we would hear from some people today. He deserves to hear it all. See, I thought maybe at least somebody stand up. I didn't think it was going to be Buster, but I thought maybe somebody from Maggie's side of the family, the Brandsetters. I can't talk today, so please excuse me. But I understand for them, it's very, very complicated. While their son-in-law, it has been, and brother-in-law for Maggie's sister, has been convicted of her unaliving, and Paul's, their grandson and nephew's unaliving. It's very, even from his sister's, or her sister's testimony, it's difficult it was difficult for me to gauge who saw, like, whether she believed Alec was guilty or not. So it's complicated for them. And, it reminds me of something we were talking about on Brittany's panel last night. And Poppy very astutely pointed out that these victim impact statements are something that are written in advance. The victims' advocates prepare the victims in the case, just either way, whether the person is convicted or whether they're acquitted, or probably in this case the third option of and so it's interesting because that being the case, it means that they never intended to say anything either way, so that's interesting to me. And then this one was from Brittany, which she says, yikes, I'm seeing potential issues, Jen Lou, that may work out in Alex's favor. Please elaborate, Miss Ma'am. Would you like to come up? If you can, I know you've probably got your hands full. I know, let me say, I know you might have your hands full this morning. I know, last night and everything like that. And I'm worried. I missed let me scroll up and see if I can find it, because I want to know what you said. Oh, this is a good question. Why didn't Buster or John talk before the judge and ask for a lesser sentence? I also don't see them crying after the sentence. I saw John smiling with the woman officer. Well, I think that likely the reason that they did not stand up and ask for a lighter sentence would be because if they did that, in essence, they would be acknowledging the oh, you do want to come up? Okay. They would in essence be acknowledging that that Alec is guilty. And I have no doubts that Alec intends to file an appeal. And if you have the victims, Buster and I mean, there's other victims, but we're just addressing Buster and John Marvin. It would be counterproductive to his appeals process because this is what makes this situation complicated, because it's the victims, but it's also his family. So but for appeal, it would be very counterproductive for for his brother and to go up there and ask for a lighter sentence, because that would be acknowledging that he is guilty. So it would be them saying to the court on the record, because those statements become part of the public record, that indeed Alex Murdaugh they believe him to be guilty, and that what they want to ask for is a lighter sentence. So let me just in case, because you never do know, I'm gonna, and I haven't got to use this in a minute. So let me use my overlay real quick. Hold on. What is wrong with this? It's like I'm just oh, she dropped off anyway. Stop sharing. That'll probably help make things go a little bit quicker. So come back, Brittany. But yeah, I think that it would be an acknowledgement. And here, I'm going to put it up anyway, just in preparation. So yeah, there she is. Okay, let me put her up. Hey, babe. Are you there? Hello.
Layover is everything.
You like that? Okay, so remember when the Johnny Depp trial was going on?
Yeah.
CM Franco made an Amber Turd cookie, and she sent me a picture of it, and that's my peen screen. Isn't it cute?
I can't even stop laughing.
You
Thank you for letting me come up.
Absolutely. You've had me up so much. And I appreciate that. Hey, Allie. So what do you mean by you see potential issues? I'm dying to get into that. Tell me. Uh-oh. Oh, thank you, Delana. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. You guys, I have to say, made this so fun for me, really. I have enjoyed covering this case. There's Brittany. I've enjoyed talking about it with you guys and discussing it. All right. What do you think, Brittany? What you got to say, babe?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, babe. I got you. We can hear you.
Okay. I'm going to revert back to what we talked about last night when I was telling you about the change of venue and my opinions on that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now you have the judge, and I could be wrong. This is why I'm here. You can correct me. But you have the judge saying, I had to have your family's picture removed from the back of the court.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in my court many times. I know you. Wouldn't that be a bit of a conflict of interest? Couldn't he use that in his favor? Because this judge could easily have an emotional connection to him.
Well, oh, thank you, Emily, for gifting a membership. Mrs. O got it. Congratulations. Thank you, Emily. That was so sweet. Well, no. So
Okay.
it's not technically a conflict of interest. The fact of the matter is that Alex's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather were solicitors for Hampton County. This is Colleton County, where this is taking place. Okay. So, I think that, because he is familiar with Murdaugh's family in that capacity, it's not really a conflict of interest. It would be a conflict of interest, say, if, let's just for an example, if Randy Murdaugh had been charged with a crime and Judge Newman presided over that, that might be a conflict of interest, a potential conflict of interest. I think what the thought process is on this is that Judge Newman is okay. So he's presiding over the murder case, right? The murder trial that's done and over with. Then he's going to preside over the financial crimes. He also is, and I don't know how much more he will be involved, but he did preside over some of Curtis Eddie Smith's pretrial stuff, like his bond. But I'm not sure if he's handling his trial. And I'm thinking that it might be the reason that he's doing all of Alex is because for continuity's sake. And when you have multiple trials, when you have a defendant who has multiple charges, but for different crimes, like he's got so one case is the murder trial. The next case is the financial trial. The third case is the roadside shooting conspiracy. And there's some other charges in there. I'll look it up later. But no, I was just using an example, that would be a conflict of interest. If Randy had ever been charged with something and Judge Newman presided over Randy's trial, that might be considered a conflict of interest. That's all I was saying. Just as an example. I don't think he has anything to do with anything. It was just an example. But
Delana, don't feel bad. I did the same thing. Delana said she's laughing at herself for trying to drop links in chat. I did it too.
Oh,
twice.
Bless it.
We get used to going to the channels that I know Delana's like me. The channels we go to were mods. So it's like you get in the swing of trying to throw stuff out. I did the same exact thing.
Yes. So I think for continuity's sake, because when you have so for if it were handled by a different judge in a different courtroom, so some of the pretrial motions and orders may conflict with the current trial going on. You see what I'm saying? So this way it's all in one place. The judge knows everything that he's doing and all of that. So that might be why I'm not an attorney, but this is an interesting.
No, but it's like I said last night, you have covered this like no other, and you've stuck with it, and you know it like the back of your hand. So it's not really a matter of so much if you're an attorney, but you know this case so well.
Thank you. I am curious as to what the impact will be. I'm also very, very, very curious. I know that I can't imagine that Alec is not going to appeal. I mean, he stood in front of God and everybody and said he was innocent today. And that's his right.
He is, Jen. And I want to be clear because I know that It can be aggravating. I'm not saying that I'm on this guy's side. He's awful. But I'm
Right.
just trying to look at it like there are some things that I feel like they messed up on in this case.
Yes.
Um, and
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to
I
better
agree.
educate myself. Yeah. So I don't know. I think he's going to try to come back and hit with everything he has. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jen, and I'm going to
Mhm.
say this is the best way I can. I think
Okie
once he
dokie
exhausts
artichoke.
every, and once he exhausts every option that he has, they may want to watch him because I'm not so sure that he won't try to unalive himself. Honestly, once he feels like all hope is lost.
I'm Yeah, I'm not so sure about that either. It's very, very possible. So, Minnie Mo, I I think that as part of the roadside shooting situation, I believe that there is a distribution charge rolled into that. And so, but I'm definitely my brain could only focus on one trial at a time. Like this was a lot. So I will definitely be following up, and I am very curious. I want to look up some things as far as South Carolina statutes go, and why they chose to have Judge Newman preside over all of these trials, and because
Mhm.
I want to understand it. I want it to, I don't think that we know the whole story. And I'll say this. I think part of the reason why it was difficult for us in the audience to watch things and to put all of the pieces together is because for us, our evaluation is far different than the juries. We are allowed to ponder all kinds of things that the jury really shouldn't, right? Because we're not, so we're allowed to be like, wait, what? And for example, the hair that was reportedly
Yeah.
in Maggie's hand, if it wasn't brought up in trial, okay, the jury would not be allowed to consider that. And I don't recall it being brought up in trial. But we, as people who are not on the jury, not bound by any type of oath, we are allowed to consider those kinds of things. So we're also allowed to consider things that they're not. Another thing we're allowed to consider that the jury wouldn't be allowed to consider is the interconnections of SLED, Colleton County, the Murdaughs, the partners that came on June 7th, and all that. We're allowed to consider all of that kind of thing, but the jury in a different way than the jury is, right? So
Mhm.
I think I'm very curious as to what remains to be seen. And I thought that it was interesting when Judge Newman said that. So, the order of indictments was the financial crimes were first, then the I think the roadside shooting, then the murder. I think the
Mhm.
murders, I think that's the order of the indictments. And so they put the murder trial first. And I thought that that was very interesting that, that happened. I mean, it makes sense why they did it. That's this trial was on the most serious charges that carry the highest sentence. So that I was um, so Well, I mean, yeah, Mo. I mean, look, here's the deal. He has the right to appeal. And I think one appeal is going to be potential jury misconduct. I mean, the fact it doesn't matter if Harpootlian said we don't care or we do care, whatever it was. I don't know what he said. I can only tell you what what allegedly what he said. So let's not even let's say Harpootlian did not say anything. Let's say Harpootlian wanted the juror to be dismissed, and the juror was dismissed and didn't deliberate. But that juror sat with the other jurors and we don't know if they discussed things when they weren't. So when you have an example of one type of misconduct, it opens the door to potential other for people to be like, well, what else did this juror do? What else, what other admonitions and orders by the court did this juror violate? Okay. And they're probably going to look for any trial errors. That'll be the second. And I think a big one is going to be whether or not the defense actually opened the door for the testimony regarding the roadside shooting to come in. That is probably another appeal. And then,
yeah.
but honestly, I don't necessarily agree with you, Mo. Do I think that that corruptions exist? I do, but I don't know if I believe that the appeal will be as corrupt as the initial process, because it escalates through at different levels through the judicial system. And so once if the I think it has an opportunity to be heard. We'll see what happens. But if I were Murdaugh, yeah, I would give notice of appeal, and I might have Griffin and Harpootlian drafts a couple of appeals going forward, but I wouldn't. But they've got to they're representing him on these other charges too, in those cases, and those cases are going to have to take precedence over the unless there's a plea deal, unless there's a plea. Those will have to take, if there's going to be a trial, then preparation for the trial has to take precedence over any appeals from this trial. So we'll have to wait and see.
I just don't think, well, in regards to the financials, he's pretty much admitted to everything throughout this trial. So I just don't see how he can go in pleading not guilty after he's pretty much admitted it, right?
Well, he's admitted to some. They have 99 counts on him. And I would think that there are, I think that the state was purposeful in the cases that they directly and specifically mentioned. And so my thinking is, yeah, he got him to do well, it didn't get to him to. Alec had no problem doing it. Alec pled or admitted to some of the cases, but I'm not even sure, but I don't think that's all of the cases. So he could still go in and plead not guilty to the remaining sentences. But make no mistake, in the upcoming trial for the financial crimes, they're going to use his testimony in the murder trial just with respect to the financial. They won't be allowed to bring anything else in, but they will bring in his stuff on whatever, his admonition or his admissions on the stand during both cross and direct. So yeah. And then there's the one that I'm shocked about is the roadside shooting. And the reason I want to get more, I want to look into that one is because I want to see exactly what his charges are.
Yes.
Because they do have him admitting on audio that the shooting was a setup, but there are other charges that are wrapped up in that. And so I'm very, very curious about that.
Do you think Curtis is telling the truth, that he pulled up and Alex was desperately there holding the pew pew? Do you think that's how it really went?
The problem is, I don't know, to be honest with you, because both Alec and cousin Eddie are lying liar faces who tell lies. So I could not disagree with you more on this, Modine. The fact of the matter
Oh,
is,
come on, Jen. Look at that face. You can't deny
which face? I know, but
love
I
Mo.
just, I enjoy Mo too. But I couldn't. This is where it's difficult for me because,
Yeah.
okay, this is where I disagree. I disagree that Alec had to get up on the stand at all. Period. Right?
Yeah.
Nobody made him do that, and he thought it was a good idea. And to be quite honest, I don't actually think that the jury gave a rat's fat kneecap about the financial stuff. Let me tell you what I do think they gave a rat's fat kneecap about. The lie about the kennel tape. That's what they were, a video, I should say. That is what got them. Those jurors didn't give a rat's fat kneecap about him stealing money. They, that's not what they were there to deliberate. And to be honest, I can back this opinion up only based on what Gigi reported from the courtroom, which was that when the financial stuff was going on that first day of cross, the jury looked bored. Now, take that for what it's worth. I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't see. So I don't know if they did look bored. And I don't know what looking bored looks like to one person versus another person. But but that was something that was repeated over and over by different people that watched the jury. And so I've got to say that I don't think they gave a rat's fat kneecap about the finances. I think the jury gave a rat's fat kneecap about that kennel video. And to be honest, and the truth of the matter is, he didn't have to get up there and explain anything. That's your right as a defendant. He didn't, but he did. He got up there and he explained it, and the jury didn't buy it. So I didn't say no one cared. The state clearly cares about the financials. What I said was the jury didn't care. The jury isn't responsible, doesn't have any control over what the state presents. But all I can tell you is that it doesn't appear that the financials were the BFD for them, because they looked bored during the testimony from Alec, and everybody wanted to hear what he had to say. But once the cross-examination started, and it started with the financials, the reports that were coming from inside the courtroom with respect to the jury was that they looked bored. That's all I can say. Without the jury coming out and giving an interview, to be quite honest, we don't have any idea what they considered and what was important to them or what was not important to them. I hope one of them speaks. If nothing else, I hope the egg lady speaks, because at least we can know from one juror, even though she was dismissed, I would like to know what was going on in her head, what she thought about it. And that's all we can do, honestly.
All right. Well, let me ask you
I
this.
agree
And
with
speaking
Blues
of that,
Girls too. Yes, ma'am. Ask away.
all right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to throw it in there because you're going through so many different things. What if Egg Lady comes out, right? And she
Mhm.
says, I was terribly on the fence about it, or I was leaning more towards, I'm not so sure he did this.
Okay.
That's gonna look. I mean, we can't say that the judge or the prosecutors and all of that knew that, but
Right.
that's gonna send rumors flying.
Well, it will spark rumors. That's true. But what I'll say about that is this. It is my understanding that with respect to that specific juror, the judge received the emails that were allegedly exchanged between herself and a coworker. And if the judge has that and they include what he says they include, right? If that's true, then it might start rumors, but they can be very, very quickly quashed with receipts like that. If she violated the juror oath, which is that you are not to discuss this case with anybody, including your fellow jurors, and she did that, and they have the receipts. Oh, Mrs. O, you want to come up? All right, hang on. And they have the receipts, and they provide the receipts, i.e. these emails. Here you go. I'm putting the link in chat for you, babe. Then that would quash those rumors. I would be very, very curious. I want to hear from her. And I want to hear what she was thinking, although, just because I'm curious. But at the end of the day, her opinion isn't I don't want to say this. She didn't get to deliberate. So what she thought or what she didn't think, while interesting, I want to hear from the jurors who did the actual deliberation. And MJ, you guys bring an interesting point. And she, at the end of the day, what it's going to come down to is, hold on, let me pin this so in case anybody else wants to come up. Let me see if I can do it. Because usually,
MJ, I did not even consider that. You're right. Could you see Bus or Bert?
Say Bert. Could I say Bert? What, babe? You cut out. Mrs. O, it says that your devices are not connected. So what you'll need to do, there she goes. All right, let me add her to the stream. All right, let me see. Mrs. O, it says that your devices are not connected. So what you'll need to do, there she goes. All right. Yeah. Okay, if you've got YouTube running in the background, Mrs. O, you got to mute it or close the window.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, if you've got YouTube running in the background, so you gotta.
Oh, okay.
Close the window. Did you want your camera on, babe? Before I
Hi.
add you to the stream?
How are you, ladies?
I'm good. Did you want your camera on?
Yeah, let me turn down my TV. Hi, I wanted to come up and tell you guys something. I have my granddaughter sleeping in the other room. I just wanted to say that Creighton was very smart when he was trying this case. He was trying two cases in one, the financial and the murder charge. When Murdaugh went into the podium, he admitted to so many things. His arrogance and narcissism didn't let him realize what he was doing. So he admitted to so many financial charges that when Creighton goes back next time to try him again, he already made his case so easy for Creighton. So easy. Yes, the jurors were bored and all that stuff, but that made his next trial so much easy because he admitted to so much.
Right. Yeah, he did.
Don't you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, he got him on the stand and he got him to admit to the financial crimes, and that is going to take a lot of wind out of the defense's sails with regard to the financial crimes. Not all the wind, but a lot of wind. Mrs. O, you've got YouTube, whatever device you're on. Are you on your phone? Not all the wind, but a lot of wind. Mrs. O, you've got YouTube, whatever device you're on. You got to close out your YouTube, babe, please, because it's echoing. Everything I'm saying is coming back again, and I can't hear myself twice.
I'm sorry, what you said, Jenna?
I said you've got YouTube running on in the background. You've got to turn YouTube off on whatever device you're on.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Please. No, you're good. Did you want your camera on? There you go. Okay. Now just turn YouTube off.
I don't do this too often. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. No, no. I just wanted you. Uh-oh.
She accidentally threw herself off.
Bless it. You guys, I put the StreamYard link. I pinned it. I can't even talk. I pinned it. If anybody else, you guys are welcome. Anybody's welcome to come up and state their case.
Just when you come up, make sure you turn your YouTube off first.
Yes, you've got it. So if you have YouTube Premium, this is what will happen, and you're on your phone. What'll happen is you will click the link, you'll open it in whatever browser you use on your phone, right? But YouTube Premium has, unless you've turned it off, unless you've turned the feature off, YouTube Premium has autoplay. So it will play in the background whether you're on YouTube or not. So you got to pull down your notifications and click the X and turn it off. Oh, you don't. Oh, Mrs. Arnold. It's once you, okay, so like the first time, anytime you do something for the first time, it's good. It's a little intimidating, but to be honest, it's just like Brittany and I right now, think of it like we're just on a phone call. We're just, a couple of chicks, me and Britt up here, and we're gonna add in a third or fourth person to the line. It's just like a conversation between friends.
Yeah,
and
that's
you did
how
an
I always
excellent
do
job, Mrs. O. Come back, babe. It's just like a phone call between friends.
Yeah, it's really not that bad.
It's not. It's not.
I remember the first time.
You did great, Mrs. O. Remember the first time I clicked your link, Brittany?
Yeah. I would never forget. I was so nervous. It took me a while to when somebody came on that I used to watch a lot, before I was ever a creator. So you and other people come up and I would be like sweaty palms, nervous, like I was gonna mess up. I don't know, but yeah, I remember the first time you come on my feed.
Hey, Mrs. O.
Hi. Trying this again.
Okay. Did you
Trying this again. I think what you were hearing was my TV. Does it sound better now?
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. No echo.
Oh, okay, good. I think it was my TV because believe me, I have it in every room.
Okay.
I think I've been stuck in Murdaugh Island for the past 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Everybody, we all have. It's been stuck in my crawl faux show.
I know, for sure. Oh, I'm glad I was evicted today.
Will B just asked, Brittany, if this were a death penalty case, would we have the same verdict?
Hmm.
And you have to stay tuned, Will B, for Brittany's answer on that because she done knocked herself off the panel. But I'll answer. Well, yeah, because let me say this. We would. Because we were the same jury. And at the end of the day, the jury did not believe Alex Murdaugh.
Nothing.
Wow. Hold on, let me see.
I'm going to say it for you. Blessed baby Jesus. I throw myself off but I agree with what Jen said. I do think we would have the same verdict.
I think so too.
Mel.
Look at Mel's hair, you guys. I love it.
It looks great.
It's the stuff's in there, so don't get excited just yet.
Oh, I love the red.
I always get excited when I see your face.
I saw you on Granny's and Granny's watching, and you said you were going to color it, but I didn't know you were going to do it this soon.
Oh, Britt. Over the past couple of days, a whole lot of stuff has happened here. A whole lot of stuff. So, yeah, this is the final. If this doesn't work, I'm just going back brown.
Oh, I love it. I hope it stays that color. I love it. I
had it-
really do.
I've had this before, but anyway, Jean, what I wanted to tell you, Jean.
Yes, Mel. Yes. Jean is
was-
listening.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me into this when I didn't want to. And you've taught me so much, and that's hard because I'm pretty dumb. And you're able to communicate with my Brian up here. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, because it makes me feel included. I feel like I've learned something. And yeah. So thank you.
Can I just say, you are so welcome. You
you.
are an absolute delight to have
Oh.
in chat on panel. You are a national treasure, Mel.
I didn't know where that was
And
going to
I
go for a
adore
second.
you.
I
And I
agree.
adore you. And I will always, always be the little spoon. But you know what? I'm also happy if you want me to be the big spoon too. Either way.
I'm a gigantor. I'm pretty sure I'm always going to be the big spoon. That's a given. Some things are just meant to be that way.
I love her.
All right, I'm just going to sneak back into the chat, and I'll
How much
eventually go
longer
and wash
for this
out.
process before you rinse it out? Because I want to see the final product. I'm very, very excited about that.
Maybe 10 hours, 20. Depends. Depends when I get tired.
Damn right. Well, that's
Probably
you
about
wrong
half
as
an
hell for that. You're gonna burn all your hair off. Have you seen those? Like the hair
Dude.
guru, I think is his name, where he
This
reacts.
is vegan.
Oh, then you're fine. Totally fine.
You could
What is it,
leave it on
Kool-Aid?
forever and it won't do anything. I'm now a vegan,
Oh.
and because I colored my hair with vegan.
That's all that it takes.
And I promise you, I didn't have to kill a vegan to get this color.
Right. You didn't use vegan blood to dye your hair. Perfect.
Yep. Okay, now I'll let you get back to serious.
You're so conscious of the world issues and conserving things. You're just a treasure, Mel.
Every time a vegan dies, a plant does too. I would never want to cause such a commotion.
I don't blame you. Circle of life and all.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. All right, I'm going. Thank you.
You're going. All right, I love you.
Sincerely, thank you. I really have enjoyed my past few days here.
Oh, thank you. I always enjoy you. All right, no more fucking love bombing. It's disgusting. Now we're getting mushy and it's gross. Don't you think? Who needs the feels? Ugh.
Bye, Mel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Fuck it.
I love her.
So do I.
And Mel, come visit me. I want you to come visit my panel. You got to grace us with your presence. She's so funny.
Oh,
that was funny.
Look at this, you guys. You guys are all so great. I have my opinion and you guys have your. That's what I like about this chat, my chat. Now, listen, I know Brittany has a great chat too, but I'm sorry, Brittany, don't hazmads just for a second. I got to say that I think my chat is the coolest on all and the best in these YouTube streets because yes, we might disagree. We might have different opinions, but we can discuss it without name calling, without it getting out of hand. Nobody's doxing people because I think Alec is guilty and you think Alec is innocent. We can have a completely adult conversation, and I'm proud of all of us because let's be honest, I like snacks and naps. I'm basically a toddler. So the fact that I can have an adult conversation, I'm giving myself 2 snaps. And thank you.
I would say that I disagree with you on that, but I can't say that because you kind of got a mix of some people that go to my channel too. So
yes,
I'm one of those.
Yes, and they're all amazing. Yes, your chat is equally. I'm not gonna say it's better, but it's equally as good as mine. We'll say that.
And the fight
I agree.
begins.
Yeah.
Now, it is a breath of fresh air, isn't it, to be able to talk about things and disagree and it not. We come from Watts Island. We
Yes.
come from a place where you cat fights erupt
Hi,
left and
Emily.
right. We over here
Yes.
pulling each other's hair out and stuff. So this is
Yes.
very refreshing.
Yes.
Let
Because, yeah,
let
if
me
you
tell
were
you
part of
something.
White's Island, you know. Go ahead,
Let me
Mrs.
tell you
O.
something. I don't come from Watts Island. I started, when I started on YouTube, I started with the Quentin Simon case. And believe me,
Mm.
I came from an ugly, ugly place of YouTube. I'd never want to go back to those places. It was disgusting. Then I found you guys, you ladies, and it is so nice to go to Britney's channel, to come to Jen Lou's channel, to go to Decipher, to those channels where you can have adult conversation, you could intelligent conversations, to laugh, to have different opinions, but to be respectful with each other. There is no nastiness, there is no shadiness, there is no, oh my gosh, there is no, oh, it's so beautiful and respectful and funny and intelligent. I love Brittany. I love Mallory. I love Jen Lou. I love all of you ladies. And I look forward every night to come to your channels and discuss what we learn every night. And I feel that I learn something every day and that I
Oh,
come and yes, I do. I do. And
Oh.
I talk to my husband and he makes fun of me because he goes, "Are you going to your buddy's on tonight?" He teased me about it. Are you gonna meet? Are you gonna make? Are you gonna meet your buddies tonight? He teased me about it, and his
Aw.
friends at work teased me about it too. It's like, what channels are those? So I gave them your channel. So I think they go to your channels. I don't know that they chat, but they go to your channels now. So
Aw.
and just
Thank
a
yeah,
you.
my daughter too. My daughter too. No. So it's really, really funny. So I thank you ladies for having that space where we can just be there, have a smart conversations, laugh, um, and sometimes have a drink. I have a drink with you guys. Um,
Aw.
a glass of wine and a margarita sometimes,
Ooh,
a
that
night.
makes me jealous.
Oh
look at this
yeah.
show getting spicy.
Yeah, sometimes you have to,
Yeah,
because I consider you guys my friends now.
you
So I do
are.
have a drink with you guys. Sometimes you like and a smoke too. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I consider you guys my friends that I can chat in.
We don't
Cause
judge about the mota over here at this channel.
Well,
exactly, that's another thing. You guys don't judge. You guys don't judge. No, nothing. We're
Mm-mm.
adults. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
and thank you for um creating a space where we can come and chat like grown women,
Thank you.
not like bullies and uneducated people. Anyways,
aw.
so thank you for that.
Oh,
And
you're
with that,
welcome.
I said, I love you. Keep at it. You ladies rock.
Oh,
And
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mrs. O. Thank you so much.
uh, no, thank you. And with that, I will see you ladies later for more. There are a lot of cases out there to continue. And
Oh, we
yeah,
got a lot, girl. You just
Oh,
wait. We are
yes.
going to
You
be
just
busy.
wait.
yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes. I'm here and I will continue. So,
Thank you
with
Well,
so
that,
much.
I have to go take care of my little granddaughter. So I will see you ladies
oh,
later. Thank you for
All
letting me
right.
in. Bye.
Anytime. Bye,
bye,
Mrs.
Miss
O.
O.
Thank you
Love
for
you.
coming up.
Bye. Bye. Say hi to
Bye.
Mallory. Bye.
I will. She's
Bye.
sleeping. See, I
So,
love that. That makes it
yes.
everything to
This
me.
this is why we do what we do. I think
Yes.
hearing from you guys and the encouragement and that you're saying, we learn something and we have fun and I consider you guys my friends and this is why for me this is why I have the channel. This is what I wanted. I wanted it to be like this and I think Brittany and I've talked about this more than once. And it, this is a very interesting. Alex Murdaugh the whole situation surrounding him, not just this specific murder trial, but the other upcoming cases, all of it is an incredibly interesting and layered case. And for whatever reason, this case has brought creators who all know each other and like and respect each other together, and gave us the ability or the opportunity to work together to cover different aspects and all of that with this case in a way that, for whatever reason, Watts didn't or couldn't or whatever.
Oh,
But
yes, you're so right. Mm-hmm.
This case has.
Sure has. And I'm going to be honest with you. I know I can speak for, at least I can speak for Teresa, myself. I think Mallory was pretty into it, but there was quite a few of us creators who was like, nah, y'all can have it. And the only reason that I covered this in the beginning was because Mallory wanted to.
Oh, okay.
And I seriously was late coming on board because to me, I looked at it like, oh God, here we go. An old Southern rich family. Like this is just that same old story. And I'm sick of the corruption. But there was a lot of us that didn't even want to do this. And then when it's all said and done, we all become very addicted to it.
Yeah, it sucks you in because there's so many layers. So, Will be, what you do is go to your Google account. And thank you, Emily, for the gifted membership. That was so sweet of you. I appreciate that so much. Go to your Google account and go to settings and personal, and you can upload an avatar there, or I think you can do it on YouTube, but I don't remember how to do it on YouTube. So I think actually if you wanted to do it on YouTube, you'd have to go through the studio, and if you don't have, like, everybody has a channel, but if you don't have content, it's just easier to do it on Google. Just go to your Google account that you have associated with your Will Be account, and you can do it from there. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Promise. Yeah, I just think that this case, I'm just glad that that too, Mel's right. You can go to your page and hit edit. I just think that I'm proud of us in this true crime community. I really am. We got a bad rep. People have been talking bad about us, saying we don't know how to act, can't take us nowhere.
I'm looking at you, Ashley Banfield.
Yeah, me too. I see you, Banfield. I
No,
remember where you started over there on Fox 4 DFW, and you would tell us when we had a snow day whether or not we had to go to school. So I remember you. I see you, ma'am.
Yeah, she's been taking digs at the true crime community, all Idaho coverage. So I just had to say that.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think we have come a long way.
We have. And nobody thought that we could do it.
Nope.
Nobody thought we could do it. And I'll say this. I do have a something for you guys, and my goal is, and I'm saying it publicly because if I say it publicly, I'll make myself do it. I'll make myself hold to that date. I have a compilation video that I'm working on for you guys that I would like to premiere Sunday evening. And of course, everybody is welcome on panel, in the chat, all the things. And I'm excited for it because it's not going to be serious. I need to have some laughs. So I'm going to make something not serious. I need it.
I'm here for it. And we also decided last night we're going to do the suitcase killer, that we're going to collab on that too. So
Sarah Boone, because she's coming up.
Yep. And are you going to do Gannon Stout too? Because I'm definitely going to be covering that trial.
Yeah, because yes, I want. Yeah, because I followed that case, and
yes, me too.
It's I'm interested in it, and I want. There's something when a child is unalived is a particularly heinous crime, but it's extra heinous when that child is unalived by their caretaker, the person that they rely on, that they trust, that they love to take care of them. And I feel like, she wanted attention, right? She wanted to pretend that she's incompetent to stand trial and all the things. Well, she's about to get attention.
Yep.
And I will find a way. I am quite capable. I feel that I'm creative enough that even if they only stream the audio, that I can make it entertaining visually as well. So don't you worry,
Oh, for sure.
Leticia.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be an interesting one too, because thus far she's managed to not show up. Like, I think the last hearing she had, the judge said if they had to pull her out kicking and screaming, she's coming.
Right.
So she's hid very much in the jail cell. And the Lori Vallow Daybell, we just heard yesterday their cases are severed.
Yes.
Chad and Lori. That's
Yes.
another one. Like, all of these are ones that I've been obsessed with.
Yes. And okay, so first of all, I'd like to say that Alex Murdaugh has ruined the name Alex for me, because now I can't even pronounce the X's. And Alex Erickson she and I talked about this a long time ago, and she's going to be my trial buddy. We're going to be each other's trial buddy for the Vallow Daybell trial, right? Well, now that they've separated it, it means we get to be 2 times trial buddies, number one.
Yeah.
But number two, Chad Daybell doesn't care about cameras in the courtroom. In fact, he said, come on in. It's Lori that didn't want the
cameras. Wow.
The cameras. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that'll be one that I'm going to have to get a hold of Allie with too, because
yes,
we're going to have to make some group efforts on that one. Because even if I'll watch that one by myself,
mm-hmm.
because tell me, that case is one for the record books. I mean,
oh, yeah, it is. Thank you, Mrs. Arnold. Thank you for gifting memberships. Oh, Modine, Chris, Sunset, Gazing, Jessica, Jane. Oh, wait, let's see. Laura Nelson. Woohoo! Thank you so much.
Miss Arnold said too much great. She's the best.
Too much
Mrs.
great.
Arnold is the bee's knees.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Arnold. I appreciate that.
Yes, you guys are awesome. I always say membership is one of the most, but besides clicking that thumbs up, memberships is one of the most incredible ways that you can help the channel and the creator out, you guys, because it just helps so much in multiple ways. It does.
I'm so grateful. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Mrs. Arnold. I appreciate that. Thank you, Emily, for gifting memberships too. You guys are great. You guys are the best.
Well, and you deserve it, Jen. You really do. We see all the work you're doing. And you're
thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you. I be trying.
You do a real. I'm telling you, I've said it for a long time now. I think this is, and I'll tell you guys, I told Jen this privately. I think this is Jen's moment, because she's always been the trial person, where we've kind of all been over there picking active cases apart. Jen's always been the one that's covering the trials, and this is it. Like, I've always said she's never really, in my opinion, you hadn't got the credit that you deserve. So it is everything for me to see this.
Oh, thank you very much. I will say this. When I started, obviously the first case that I ever deep dove was on my channel. I've been doing it for years, like behind the scenes or whatever, was West Memphis 3. And I had a small but incredibly supportive and loyal group of people who, I think if it had not been for them continuing to encourage me, and I think I might have just continued with maybe just putting out videos about the West Memphis 3 and left it at that. But they really encouraged me and said, no, look at this case and look at that case. And the first trial that I ever covered on the channel was Chandler Chazzle Dazzle Halderson. That was the very first trial I ever covered. And his shenanigans and BS were too much for me. And then once I started doing the trials, I really love to watch trials by myself. So once I started covering trials, I really got into it and really enjoyed it. And I'm just really glad that you guys have found me, and we just have just an awesome group. I really think we have a great community in here, and I'm really proud of it because, whew, I do have a handsome tech support person. He's great.
I was
He's
just
great.
about to say, Mel, are you hitting on my Jen Lou over there?
My tech support person, you missed it, Brittany. Yesterday, I was having all the troubles with the stream, and it wasn't me. It was the dadgum StreamYard and the internet as a whole, because so many people were, but my husband was home, and I kept calling him my IT guy because he's like, just switch over to your phone and do data, and I'll reset the router and all that. And of course, she's hitting on me. Can you blame her? I'm the
It's
little
okay.
spoon.
I hit on Mallory all the time.
Yeah, so I was telling everybody while I was because I couldn't share my screen until the router got reset and everything, and I was saying my IT guy's here, and I got to tell you guys, he's quite good looking, obviously.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I love that he's supportive of you, though. That is awesome. That always helps.
Yeah, we've and so next month, I was wrong, you guys. I've been saying we're coming up on 27 years. I did the math. Let me just check the math just to make sure.
She already spoons me.
We got we got together in 1995. So this year, April 23rd, that's right. Let me just do the math on the calculator. 1995 minus 2023. Yeah, this year will be 28. April will be 28 years. So we have been together 27. I was right. He was trying to say, no, it's been 28. Yeah, we've been together for April 23rd will be 28 years.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I always stand the successful marriages. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're not even married. We've just been together that long. We're not legally married. We never did get legally married.
That's common law at this point, Jen.
Oh, girl, we've been common law since 6 months into 2005. We've always lived together and stuff, and we just never did it. We didn't feel like we needed it. We're like the bootleg or Wish Dollar General version of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
Yeah, that's your husband, regardless. But yeah, I love that. I do. I think that's so sweet.
Yeah, we've been together a long, long time. And
what year did you say?
1995.
I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm old enough to be your babysitter.
No.
Yeah, not your mother, your babysitter. If you were in kindergarten, I would have been 18.
You're a pretty hot babysitter, Jen.
Thank you very much.
So, yeah.
I mean, I'm proud of us. I am so proud of this community. I really am. All of us, the creators, the members, the subscribers, everybody. I think as strongly as people feel about this trial, one way or the other, right? Everybody has been able to come in and we've all chatted about it and we've debated about it, and nobody, nothing bad happened. Like the world didn't, stop spinning on its axis. We didn't have, what is it that, let me see if I can get this quote correct from Ghostbusters, Bill Murray. Let's see, what is it? Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria, real end of the world type shit. None of that happened.
Love it. I don't know. Did you see that? So I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. When we were just watching, it showed Buster and why do I always forget his name? The brother, Marvin,
John Marvin.
John Marvin did look like he had a bit of a smirk when Alex was walking away.
I'm going to
Somebody
say
had pointed it
this.
out in chat, and I was like, whoa. I caught the very last second of it, but I saw it.
Oh, shit.
I mean, sometimes people look like they smirk when they're crying. So that's why I need to go back and see.
We need to see his grief muscle at the top of his forehead to know for sure, as we learned on the behavior panel. I'll say this. When I listened to the jail calls between John Marvin and Alec, I felt that that John Marvin it was very obvious. He was the Jiminy Cricket of the Murdaugh boys, as far as that goes, of the brothers. Between him, Alec, and Randy, I think he was more like Jiminy Cricket. He was the conscience. And I think that in those phone calls, he encouraged Alec in the best way that he could without outright pointing a finger. Because you have to remember, he knew about that video, that kennel video. And although it appears that they were talking about like the financial situation, because that was part of it, I think he was talking, I think John Marvin was talking about everything, not just the finances. And he told him to come clean. And I think that, you know, there is a part of John Marvin, I think when I think and he will never probably say this publicly, but I would suspect that he's had conversations with Randy, and I would bet my party tit on him having a conversation with his wife about this, that kennel video shook him. And I think that kennel video, and he may have remained supportive publicly publicly of his brother to the public face, but behind closed doors and in his own brain, you know, I think there might be a different story.
Well, maybe for anything for Buster. Maybe for Buster to ride out this process. Because when you take into consideration his connection, his close bond with Paul, come on. And then he talks about being out there. That broke me.
Yeah, that was hard testimony. And I have to say, I felt that Alec. I felt that the testimony from John Marvin with respect to his relationship with Paul was genuine. I think that John Marvin and Paul had a kinship because they were essentially the black sheep of the family. There was no way John Marvin he did start down the path to be an attorney, but it wasn't his passion. And he found his passion and he did it and broke with tradition and decided not to become an attorney. And I think that for Paul, I think Paul had no, I don't think he ever wanted to be a lawyer. I don't think the law interested him. And I don't think that was going to be his path in life. And I think that they had a bond because of that. I think it brought them, you know, and I could say, why are we punching walls, Mel? Now, you know, that is not, it's a good coping mechanism, but don't be destructive. We got to find healthier coping skills.
Oh, you're very welcome, Maurice, Australia. Got to share the love. If you don't look out for, you can't be like that on YouTube. If you act like you're the only person that subscribers should go to, then you don't deserve to have a platform.
Right? Like, why would I?
No. I very much like to listen. When I got a channel, I had help. Alex Erickson was one of my biggest champions. And that's something that I always vowed I would do. Promote other people and network. That's what you're supposed to do. So yeah, don't even.
Yeah, it's a community, not a monarchy. I mean, they don't. I
No.
mean, look. What is YouTube's? Most of their things revolve like communities guidelines, a community guidelines violation. You know, they got a community wall. It's all. It's intended for it to be a community, which means more than one person. Otherwise, they would have, you know, a monarchy tab, if on your channel, if it was intended for, you know. I like it. I will say this, Mo, Dean. Now I want to look into, because there is a difference in not a lie is when you know the truth and you choose not to say it. That's what a lie is.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm curious about is, it's not that he just made this report up out of whole cloth. There was a report that stated, and that is what he testified to. What
Yep.
we need to know is the timing of the follow-up report that corrected the first report.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that is important. Words, especially with the law, because that's really what laws are, all right, is the reading of a law and the interpretation of a law, which is why the lawyers in criminal and civil, they argue back and forth, because they're arguing over the interpretation of the law and the statutes. So what I'm very, very curious about, I just will not, I'm not comfortable myself personally, and I'm not judging anybody else. You guys, obviously, you know, I let everybody say whatever they got to say as long as they're being respectful about it. The shirt did have blood on it. That white t-shirt did have blood. It was determined later not to be human blood. And so what we need to determine, for me personally, I need to know the timing of those reports. That's what I need to know. That's
Yes.
important to me before I use a word like lie, because a lie is an intentional thing. And I do not know, and we can never know, because it would be impossible unless one of you guys owns, you know, a time traveling DeLorean. We would have no way of knowing if that specific piece of evidence were left out of the grand jury, if they would have indicted him. I suspect they would, because even without that, they still had the kennel video. And I'm telling you guys, that kennel video was pivotal in the grand jury and in the subsequent criminal trial. I have to, there was, hey, ATS News, there was no way for him. People just, there is no real way for the defense to overcome that. The fact is,
the timeline. Yeah.
right. And he lied about it, you know, and listen, people lie for all kinds of reasons. Okay. But if you would go so far as to make come up with a reward for people to come forward and say what they know, and to find the person or persons responsible for brutally unaliving your son and your wife, why would you, you know, I don't know. It's just,
Jim, don't you think also another, and hey, ATS News, good to see you. ATS News is another amazing channel, you guys. She does her due diligence. But don't you think also another ballpark out of the park moment for the prosecution was when they pointed out the lies to the jury right at the end
yes.
of I think that right there was huge, because it was after he did his testimony. It was after, you know, all of it, you know, they had their say so or whatever, and then they just show you, because for people like me that is a visualist, or
Mhm.
that right there, I was like, whoa, that's legend. That's legendary what they're doing right now, because how can you listen to anything he says after that?
I don't know how you can. I mean, the truth of the matter is that there was really only a small window. The only time that there's like, what is it? So let's say Buster, or not Buster, Alec left the kennel area, let's say 8:44. All right. So he's gone from 8:44 until 9:06. He's away. He's on Moselle, but he is up at the house. Okay. And then from 9:06 to 10:07, which is an hour, he is away from the property completely. That is a very short window of time for somebody to roll up out of the blue with, if the intent, if Maggie and Paul were the intended targets by some unknown person or persons, right? Moselle is out of the way. It's not like it's in a neighborhood. You would have to be watching the home, I would think, in order to unalive Paul and Maggie. You'd have to watch to get them where Alec wasn't around, right? So you'd have to be watching and waiting for him to leave the property completely, right? So if that's the case, don't you guys think that hunting dogs, especially if there were another person or persons, whether they knew them or not, dogs have a different alert. There's an alert that they do when there's a stranger nearby. And then there's an alert that they do when there is somebody that they know and they're familiar with nearby. And I promise you that even if they knew the person, right? If the person had ill intentions, dogs can smell it. When you're doing anything, you emit pheromones that dogs can smell, which is why dogs react to things like seizures and stuff like that they alert before the seizure even happens, because there's chemical changes in your body that dogs can smell. Hunting dogs, labs especially. Did you know that if you put a pizza in front of the dog, in front of a lab, that their noses are so sensitive that not only can they smell each and every ingredient, they can smell not like in the like production of like if the tomato sauce came in a can or whatnot, they don't think they can smell that. But when the person who prepares the pizza, they can smell them too. They have an incredibly sensitive olfactory system. And yeah. So I missed something. What's east, babe? What do you mean, Caroline? It's east. I don't know what you mean, babe. Did I misstate something? Because if so, I apologize. But yeah, it takes exactly there. I just feel like I don't think that SLED necessarily like had tunnel vision to the exclusion of other people. And listen, that could change. From what it sounds like to me, and all I can go by is what the jury was going by, which is what was presented in court at this time. Okay. I fully intend to request the discovery from the murder trial. Now, I don't know if I will be able to get it, if they will release it, only because the murder, the financial, and the roadside shooting, those crimes overlap one another. And I would suspect that the state and the defense likely would argue that they do overlap. And so that at this time, the discovery from the murder trial cannot be released to the public until these other trials or these other charges have been resolved, whether that's in a trial or it's a plea or whatever. That's what I would suspect, but I am still going to request it. And if we could get the discovery in that trial or from this trial, right? Or from the investigation, because that's really what it is. I think that we would have a better idea of just what kind of investigation SLED conducted, how many people that they looked at or didn't look at, whatever the case may be, for potential suspects. So I am not willing at this point, until I have proof. Just to say, well, they honed in on him. They had tunnel vision, and they investigated him to the exclusion of other better suspects, because I don't know that just yet. Exactly. I mean, yeah, I find it interesting that you would just think that if the intended targets were Paul and Maggie, right? And you wouldn't want somebody intervening, right? Especially somebody who's familiar with a firearm, which Alec was, right? You don't need two people who are good at firearms, right? With, you're up against what, it is what it is. So they wait for Alec to leave, not just leave the kennels, leave the property entirely. And then they ambush Paul and Maggie, but the dogs are running, around, and they don't alert to somebody being in the vicinity. And that came from Alec's own mouth. It just, I don't know. Yes, mini Mo, that is true. There is a YouTube channel that does have it, that was included. His channel is Eric Allen, and it was included in the Netflix documentary. But this was like 3 months after the murders. This was after Alec was already in jail, awaiting trial. So, I mean, without knowing more, okay, like what specific firearms were removed from that house, because I'm just going to have to look into it a little bit deeper as far as that goes before I feel like before I can feel comfortable commenting on it. I do not want to spread misinformation. I do not want to add to the rumor mills. And I absolutely do not want to accuse anybody of doing something illegal, right, without having some kind of clear and convincing evidence. I don't want to do that to I don't want to do that to a person. So I'm just not, there's a lot of layers to this case. And I think that we will, whether they stream the financial trial or any of the other trials or not, the fact of the matter is it's going to be covered in one way, shape, or form, right? The press will be there. And of course, I like it better when they stream, because then we can have our own. We've watched the testimony ourselves. We've heard we've seen and heard the things firsthand, rather than relying on somebody else's interpretation or perception of events. I personally like it better that way, where we can say it with our own eyes. But we will have some sort of account of what occurred during that trial, and those trials. So at least we'll sort of have an idea of what's going on. Yes, I did catch that, Emily. I did, and KNS, thank you so much. I did catch that. It was interesting. Hold on a second. Thank you so much, KNS. I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Now, let me see what facts said. And let me look. Interesting how all these investigation agencies seem to foul up evidence when there are folks with connections or influence, but not with regular folk, where they can even manufacture extra evidence. I mean, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Let's see. More layers than Duncan Hines, more layers than the layered cake that Mel baked for somebody's wedding for 300 people. I mean, this has layers, and they overlap. And I think that we should, I think we should discuss, obviously, but I think we need to take a wait and see approach, because these other cases overlap with this trial that we just watched. And I really want to see all what comes out in those and all the things, before I make like a huge, like my final verdict. Plus, I also, so I think I'm about to wrap this up, you guys, because I get stuff I got to do for the day. But Sunday, I'm going to premiere a video. I don't know if I'm going to do it like through a premiere or do a live or how I'm going to do it, but Sunday evening, at my normal time, 9 Eastern, right? I'm gonna have a little wrap up, right? So be looking out for that. And in between this trial, the end of this trial, obviously, and the next one, I'm going to bring out what I should say. I'm going to publish the 3-part investigation that I did into the Stephen Smith case and present that to you guys. And then we'll have a discussion. And then I've got a ton of stuff coming up, but with respect to the Murdaugh case and the adjacent cases, that's the plan for me. And then if anything comes up, and I still am keeping a very keen and close eye on the Quentin Simon case, and that's moving through the courts right now. It's in pretrial, et cetera, et cetera. I'm keeping an eye on the Brian Kohberger, Idaho 4, as it makes its way through the justice system, and we're getting closer and closer to the pretrial hearing, which, let's be honest, I can't imagine. I think there's going to be like 6 people total in the entire world that don't watch it. Just kidding. There might be more than that, but it's got the true crime community definitely will have all eyes on that. So, yeah, we're going to do, so yeah, we've got, and Emily, you're so very welcome. Thank you guys all so much for being here. I think, this was an emotional trial, really. It was. And a heavy trial, a complicated trial. And, I think that we didn't get to like decompress from the closing arguments, because boom, there was the verdict, and then we're processing that now, and then boom, the next day is, well, today obviously is the sentencing. And so whew, we all needed, correct, Chris, correct. So oh, absolutely, absolutely, Mama Stone. All right, so this is what happened. Judge Newman sentenced Alec to the rest of his natural life in prison. So obviously, so that means life without parole. But what he did was he ordered those sentences to be served consecutively. So in essence, Alec would have to serve out the entirety of Maggie of what he was sentenced to for Maggie's murder before he can begin serving the sentence on Paul's murder, except for the fact that the only way the sentence ends, the completion of the sentence is is Alec no longer being alive. So yeah, that's how that goes, So that's what it was. He got life without the possibility of parole, and on both Maggie and Paul's murders, and the judge sentenced it to be served consecutively. So yeah, and I'm sure within the next few days we will get a notice of intent to appeal and all of that stuff. So yeah. So I want to thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the thumbs up, the encouragement, the fantastic conversation and discussion. I had the best time talking about this trial with you guys, and look forward to doing so many more with all of you. What else was I going to tell you? Welcome to everyone who got memberships. Thank you to those to Emily and Mrs. Arnold for generously donating memberships. I had so much. I just enjoyed. I didn't look. The trial's heavy and everything like that, so don't get me wrong. But being able to talk and discuss and exchange ideas and theories with such a great group of humans made this not as heavy. Do you know what I mean? And a place to just vent, and I appreciate that so much, and I look forward to doing so many more with trials with you guys. And thank you to the mods also. Just thank you, everybody. All your support means the world to me, your encouragement, and I'm just so grateful to have you. And I don't know what I'm doing tonight. If anything, I'm probably just going to chill out. I know that the Decipher podcast has a live scheduled, so I'm probably going to check that out over there. Thank you, Cement Shoes and Shmita. And I will see you guys later. Yeah, around these streets. You guys have a great rest of your Thursday, or for Thursday. See, have a great rest of your Friday, and I'll see y'all around these parts. And I'll be on this weekend. Maybe me and Truth Teller will finish up part 2 of the behavior panel, and then Sunday I'll do the video that I'm it's a surprise. All right, you guys have a great rest of your Friday, and I'll talk to you later.